Okay.
What up?
What is really fucking good?
Hey man, living life like kings, you know?
Man, we got to be the most ambitious motherfuckers in podcasting.
Yeah.
We may not be the best.
Definitely.
We ain't the worst. But we the most ambitious.
I believe so.
What? Who aspires higher than the kids?
None that I see.
You got to just go for the gusto sometimes, man. And 2000 grind team continues. Super duty, tough work.
Putting it in your face and your ears.
Take that.
Right.
Yeah, man, we here again, man. You know, recording more fly shit for your ears, man. And, you know, we've been taking topics from our fans, which is always a great source. You know, because how better to know what to talk about than when the people tell you directly.
Yeah. I mean, we gotta get the people what they want.
Yeah. Got to get the people. So this episode, man, you know, this topic was suggested to us on Instagram. Again, if you're on the gram, follow your boys. Our handle is at superduty_tough_work. You know, we got the logo on there, so you know it's us and not no imposters. There is only one.
There's only one.
Super Duty. The only one most infamous. And, you know, we got video clips there, pictures, all kind of stuff, talking to fans there. So follow us on the gram if you will. And, you know, the video shit is coming. So follow us on YouTube as well.
YouTube.
So to follow us on YouTube, what you need to do is go to our Instagram page. And there's a link on there. It's called like a Shore By link or Shoreby link. What you do is you click on that link, and that link has a drop down box. With several different links to where you can listen to the podcast, audio versions.
That fly shit.
Yeah. iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, our personal favorite, Android, you know, all of these things. We're everywhere. Stitcher. But most recently, we added a feature where YouTube can be selected. So go there, and when you hit that drop down, YouTube is there now.
Yes,
so
sir.
Hit that box, hit YouTube, and you'll come to our brand new YouTube page. And why did we make a YouTube page, Illogic? Video content.
So the boys can see us.
Come on. They got to see us in the flesh. We're real people.
Yeah.
These beautiful voices come with faces.
We live.
Yes. The real people, not computer generated fucking things. So go to the YouTube page. We need subscribers. Yeah. They won't even get us. Did I tell you they won't give us a YouTube handle unless we have 100 subscribers?
I didn't know that. When did that start happening?
I don't know. I never had to do that before.
Huh.
But now it's like they got all kind of rules now. Now it's like you can't do a live stream unless you have a certain number of handles. You can't monetize until you got 5,000 followers.
Dang.
Yeah, you got 5,000 followers. That just stops people from having one dope video,
right,
and then monetizing the fuck out of it. Then getting up out of there, you know. So we want to have the Super Duty Tough Work handle. We want you to be able to go to youtube.com/Super Duty Tough Work.
Yeah,
that's the goal. But we can't get there until we get to 100 followers. We got like 35, 30 today.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
New rules. They done changed a lot of shit on YouTube, man.
Right.
And so, you know, it's been many years since I started a new page. Probably 5-6 years ago. I probably didn't really start a page. Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago. Last time I did one. That was a waitlist page. And so go there, support your boys. Yeah. And then we'll keep making this fly shit every week.
No doubt.
You know, and then you get to see us, you know. And so this week, the topic that we have is from one of our listeners, was suggested on the gram. And this comes from A. Sarah. And A. Sarah's suggestion was, how do you cope with stress in your life? And that's a deep question.
Many ways.
Many ways. And, you know, Illogic and I joked about this. And we didn't want this podcast to just turn into smoke some weed, you know what I'm saying? Have a drink, you know, go for a walk. You know,
take a drive,
play some rap music you love. We wanted it to be more than that. And because we wanted to be more than that, we have a system. And we got a system. And so if you're at home, we need you to play along with the system. Get a notepad, a piece of paper, pull out your phone, app, whatever it is. And we got like a six-step system that we're going to give y'all to dealing with stress. It's what I use. It's what most people who are not stressed out a lot do. Right. And we're going to break down each step of this, and we're going to use this system and apply it to things that have caused us stress in the past. Then we're going to show you how it works. And we want each of you to kind of take these 6 steps and like apply it to your life. So I guess it's 6 steps to reduce stress. Maybe that's what it is, or something like that. It kind of rhymes.
It rhymes.
That rhymes? Okay. So that's what it is then. Okay, so we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
We got you stuck off the realness, the most infamous, you heard of us. Official podcast murderers, the show comes equipped with viewpoints to share. Grown man ideas for all those who care and want to grow. So go ahead and download every single week with a brand new episode. You're not alone in this world, cousin. So we share information and honest discussion and keep repping the culture like we supposed to. They spread gossip, but they never come close to. I can hear it inside their tone. They talk about the industry but never left their home. You get laced up with bullet points and such, plus empowering topics that they never would touch. You can put your whole network against the team, but Super Duty Tough Work's the MVP. Most valuable podcast on MP3. Priceless info, but all of it's free. So take these words home and think them through. Super Duty Tough Work is coming at you. You are now listening to Super Duty Tough Work with your host, Blueprint. Raw and uncut. Adult conversations. No shucking, no jiving, and no bullshit.
Super Duty Tough Work.
We are back.
The most infamous podcast on planet Earth.
Yeah. In your eardrums and in your faces. You know what I'm saying?
The audio and the visual, brother. Now you gotta see us.
Yeah.
Now you can't ignore us.
Nah.
Come on, man.
Nah.
Dealing with stress.
Yeah.
So this week we talking about dealing with stress. This topic came from Sarah14. Shout out to you for throwing it to us on the Instagram. And how do you cope with stress in your life? So we want to start out with step number 1. And step number 1 to dealing with stress is to identify the source.
Easier said than done.
Right. It sounds easy, but it's much harder to apply. But we still have to say it because in many instances, we will have a stressful situation come upon us and we will lash out at things that may not have to do with the source.
Yeah.
We may misdirect the energy, and the thing that caused the stress is not what we're dealing with at the moment. A lot of our stress in our life builds up over time. It's cumulative. It's not like I woke up and I just started flipping as soon as I woke up.
Right.
Cussing everybody out.
What the fuck are you looking at?
Alarm clock. Nah! It's not like that, right? Throwing the alarm clock across the room, stomping out your own phone for waking you up. It's usually cumulative. Yeah. It builds up over time. And sometimes because it's cumulative, it's very easy to misdiagnose it, right? It's much easier to figure out what's stressing you out when it's just a flashpoint.
Yeah.
It's an isolated incident. Like say you're driving, you're having a great day, you get in a car accident.
Right.
Very clear.
Yeah.
Why you're stressed out from that point forward. But let's just say you're working a job you don't like, but you haven't admitted it to yourself because you need the job. Mm-hmm. Your wife needs you to need the job. Mm-hmm. Your kids need you to need the job. Mm-hmm. And you've decided that you got to tough it out no matter what for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And you know that to admit that you don't like this job would send you on a downward spiral of unhappiness.
Right. And you might cuss somebody out.
Right.
Which punch somebody in the face.
Leading to stress that you don't really want.
Right.
So the first step is to find the source of the stress. Identify the source. This could mean that you got to be really honest with yourself. Sometimes things that are stressing us out are things that we thought would bring us joy. Sometimes there are people who do bring us joy 50% of the time, but the other 50% of the time, they are high maintenance and stressful. Yeah. It could be something that we work on, a project that the workload might just be too much. It might be tipping the scale. Sometimes you take on something and that one thing you took on ends up being the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah, you end up like what's dude's name on Half Baked when he quit his job? Fuck you, fuck you, you're cool.
right. It only takes one little thing, and we think that one little thing that made us quit is what causes the stress, but really it's been building up over a long time. So to properly execute this first step, you got to take an inventory of your life.
Yeah,
you got to be honest and have a category that says, these things bring me joy, these things do not. Or these things bring me joy, these things I want to do, these are the things I have to do. Because sometimes the balancing act between what we have to do and what we want to do causes the stress.
Yeah, and a lot of times in relationships, it's very easy to lash out at the people that are closest to you, even if they are not the purpose or the reason behind the stress. It's because they're there.
Say that again.
You know what I'm saying? They're there. If somebody's around, like if you're married or you live with your girlfriend or you got kids, they're there. So the people that you mad at, if you hate your boss and you come home and you stressed out and you know your kid breaks something that day that just, you know, your boss did something crazy, you might scream at your kid a little more abrasive than usual. Right. You know what I'm saying? Your wife do something or she do something, you know, like she might come at you wrong because she mad at her friend at work or something like that. So you got to make sure that you identify where the real stress comes from. And this is taking a step back and really taking that inventory to see, all right, what's good, what's bad, what's happening, what's causing the stress in my life.
That's a fact. Yeah. And that's a great point. I like how you brought that up, because what often happens is that when you don't identify it, right, you have this thing hanging over your head bothering you. You have another, let's say, testy interaction with someone else. Yep. It's not major. Right. It turns major. Your focus turns to that now. Right. Instead of what was originally causing the problem that made you overreact to that engagement or that interaction with them. And that is why you really got to make sure you are identifying the source. Straight up. So that's step number one. So if you got, so I'm gonna look at this for example. So let's look at, like you're saying, I'm gonna use like maybe something that used to cause me a lot of stress. So let's say when I reverse engineered my drinking, the first thing I had to admit was that the reason I started drinking was because I was nervous about performing. Now the question becomes, I could have said I'm drinking to escape my problems. I'm drinking right because I want to party harder. I'm drinking because everybody else drinking. Yeah. But I knew I had to admit in the back of my mind that the main reason I was drinking was because it made things easier socially for me. And as soon as they became easier socially for me, the anxiety I suffered from would go away. And this was all from performing. But the fact of the matter is that the drinking was just a coping mechanism, right? Because I didn't identify the true source or couldn't admit it due to pride, right? Of my problem.
Yeah, like I'm a natural. You know what I'm saying? I don't get scared. You know what I mean?
Oh, man, I do this all the time, slug. It's only 2,000 people here.
Can I get 3 shots?
Yeah. Bartender. Yeah, I have 3 more of those. 2 shots and 2 more mixed drinks, please.
Straight up.
Oh, when we go in 10 minutes? Okay. Yeah, so identify the source is the point. So number two, and this is a system. So if you at home and you got something stressful, you should be writing this down. Number 2 step is to define your current coping mechanisms. By this, I want people to really think about, like, if you're stressed all the time, then that simply means that your coping mechanisms are insufficient. So what I like to say is that we should first acknowledge that the coping mechanisms that we use or grow up with are typically handed down to us from our parents. So true. You know, so if you grow up in a household where your father is calm as a fucking, you know what I'm saying? And your mother is laid back and chill, and they very seldom argue, or it's just a chill household and no one's overreacting, then when stressful things happen, that's going to be your demeanor as well. Right. Conversely, if you come up in a household that's full of chaos, that the slightest thing causes people to lose their temper, scream on one another, slam doors, throw things, not talk, magnify problems, get physical with one another, kick people out, just not talk. Like, these are things that typically, if you're doing it as an adult, you've subconsciously internalized this growing up, and you're born with a set of coping mechanisms that you got from your parents. This is all you know. Like, so if my dad was mad, calm under pressure, when shit happens, and I draw from that subconsciously. I think, oh man, my pops was super cool. Now that's just all I know about it. When people get calm, I just, okay, let's work through this.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I am.
Right. So like, so step number 2, the reason we want you to identify like, what are your current coping mechanisms, is because in doing so, you can now identify where you're going wrong.
Right.
And so you've identified the source. You've identified that you're still stressed because maybe you're not handling this properly. Because if you were taught that when bills come and they're due, to put it off to the very last minute because that's what your mama used to do,
right,
then you're going to do the same thing. And now you're going to stress. And then when it's due tomorrow and it's supposed to get cut off, you're finally going to tell somebody that you need help. But you've been stressing for 30 fucking days because you didn't have the money and you had too much pride because you got that from your parents.
Yeah, that's so real.
You know, and so this is why I say define your coping mechanisms. And it's important because if you don't define them properly and you don't identify the ones which are negative and not constructive, all you're going to do is compound the situation.
Yeah, because a lot of people I know, a lot of people sometimes use stress to enable their coping mechanism. A lot of people will say like, oh, I'm drinking because I'm stressed out.
Yep.
Even if your life, like, what do you mean you stressed out? Your life is pretty butter.
About what?
You know, what are you stressed out about?
Right.
Or, oh, I need to smoke so I can stay calm. I need to smoke some weed so I can stay calm. Like, that was one of my biggest ones, just because I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with a lot of things. And in order to cope with a lot of that, I would smoke tons and tons of weed just so it would put me in a different place. Yeah. And I had to really change that about my life. So, don't use stress as an excuse either to partake in those harmful coping mechanisms.
That's a great point. And so like for me, that's what I was doing. So when I look back at like my drinking, and I had anxiety about performing in front of large crowds. Now, common sense would have told somebody to practice more, to just go through just get used to it. Yeah. Instead, at the beginning of the process, I chose to start drinking to fight the anxiety. Right. I took on a negative coping mechanism to solve a problem that didn't even necessarily need it. I'm not saying I could have drank, but drinking to solve that problem doesn't work, because now you're forgetting your words. Yep. Now you're sitting on stage, you're sloppy, you're late, you know what I'm saying? You're not engaging with the crowd, you're blowing shit out of proportion.
Then it becomes a crutch.
Right.
Because it's like, now I can't go on stage. Like we used to do the ritual. Now I can't go on stage until I have a couple drinks in me. If I don't have a couple drinks in me, I don't feel right on stage. Like, these are the things we tell ourselves, and these are the things that we get used to. You develop habits.
Yep, it's true. And all because we did not want to admit the real problem.
Exactly.
Right. And then say, okay, well, how am I coping? Is this healthy or not? So at the end of step 2, you should be able to say, okay, what were the coping mechanisms that I was taught by my parents? What were the coping mechanisms that I was witness to growing up in my household? Yeah. What have I been forced to deal with my extended family, my loved ones, my girlfriends, my community? Because when you look at certain people, how they deal with stress is a function of what they came up in. Like, look at a motherfucker like Draymond Green, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if that dude, he's a guy you can look at and say, you didn't have a calm man in your house. Because look how extra he gets at the drop of a dime.
Right.
Any small situation with the referee or with the call, he's always looking to escalate it and yell and scream and throw a temper tantrum. And I have no doubt that he got that from the household he grew up in.
But look at Tim Duncan.
Exactly.
Like, complete opposite.
Was his father a military man or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like complete opposite. Calm dude, laid back, whatever the refs cost, whatever. I'm going to get that back later.
Yeah.
His teammates look up to him. He never made a bad situation worse.
Right.
And you got to look at these 2 examples. Like, some of us we weren't born with the luxury of having like these peaceful households. And so because we weren't, we took on some negative behaviors. And we have the responsibility now to fix these problems.
Exactly.
It's no one else's responsibility but ours.
And teach our kids that there's better ways to deal with situations, and there's better ways to cope with stress, and better ways to cope with having problems in your lives other than going towards something negative.
Right. Exactly. So that's number 2. Okay, we'll take a break and we'll be right back. What up, everybody? Blueprint here to let you guys know that all 3 of my books are finally back in stock. That means right here, What a Night. This book is back in stock. It's $10. This is a book about the worst shows of my career. That's 10. Word is Blog Volume 1 is back in stock. That's $10. And also, The Making of Adventures in Counterculture. This book is about my Adventures in Counterculture album. If you have the album, you love the album, you should have a book too. That's $10. All 3 of these books are back in stock for $10 each, or you can get all 3 of them for just $25 right now on waitlist.net. That's all I got today. Thanks for your support. Peace. Super Duty Tough Work hoodies are finally available from waitlist.net. Order yours while supplies last. Thanks for your support.
The most infamous.
The funk version. Most
Baby Bubba.
Baby Bubba, most infamous in the house.
Oh,
And at the kitchen table, steady turning it out. The most infamous. Oh, Baby Bubba. Oh, Baby Bubba.
you gotta do it now. You gotta
That's
do
going
it
to be
now.
the new intro.
You gotta do it
I'm
now.
going to do a Curtis Blow version of the.
The most infamous.
You're now rocking with the best.
Oh man.
All right.
Back in the place.
Back in the building. You know, talking about dealing with stress. How do you cope with stress, man? You know, and we hit you with the first 2 steps. We're about to hit you with the 3rd step. And this is one that, you know, I have to always remind myself of this one because it's so easy to forget. But the 3rd step in this process of coping with stress is to categorize the stress. Now, to me, there's only 2 categories of stress. That is stress that you can fix, and there's stress that you can't. There's 2 types of problems, right? Either you can fix that problem or you can't.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no gray. Because I have to tell myself this, because if I look at it and I say, yo, I'm stressing about something that I can fix, it gives me hope.
Right.
And it helps me get out of that stress easier.
Yeah. Then you can start looking for remedies.
Right. You move into solution mode instead of reaction mode.
Yeah. Like, damn, I can't do nothing about this.
Right. That's the other side. Because then if you have to admit that, okay, I can't actually fix this. If you can't fix something, but you're stressing about it, is that worth your time?
Exactly.
Shouldn't you now move to, you know what? Man, I'm stressing out about this snow. I'm stressing out about this weather. I'm stressing out about not having a car. I'm stressing out about something, you know what I'm saying? But once you admit that that problem isn't fixable, you should not be stressing about it anymore.
Right. Or it's something you have to wait to fix.
Right.
You know, you can't fix it right now.
Worrying is not going to fix.
Exactly.
To me, out of all the steps in this process, that's the one I think that people skip the most.
Yeah.
Like you may be able to identify your problem. You might be able to say, you know what, I probably shouldn't be drinking because of this problem.
Right.
But most people have a hard time admitting that their problem is either fixable or not fixable,
right,
and responding accordingly. But if you don't, that's when you start to snowball, and the stress starts to really get on your head.
Yeah. See, because I'm the calmest in my house. I'm the chill one. Me and probably my middle son. But there are times when there's issues that either my wife is dealing with or the kids are dealing with. And when they're talking to me, I'm like, okay, so what can you do about that situation right now?
Yeah.
And if the answer is nothing, then it's like, then why are you so worried about it? If you know you can't fix it, if you know at least right now you can't fix it. If it's something that's fixable, but it's going to take some time, then it's going to take some time, and you know you got work to put in. But if it's something that you know right now you can't fix, why right now are you so stressed out?
That's
if you
real.
can't do nothing.
That's the realest.
Yeah, you can't do nothing about it. So why are you wasting your energy and your time worrying about this thing when you can't? There's nothing you can do
Can't
about
do a
it.
goddamn thing about it.
Nothing you can do.
And I would bet that 90% of people's problems are that you just described. It's knowing that a problem is out there,
Right.
knowing that it could or can affect you, but knowing that you're powerless to do anything, yet still stressing about it every day. If you look, I mean, if people could master this part, 90% of the posts on Facebook wouldn't be there.
Dog.
Facebook is the platform for bitching and complaining and stressing about things that you are powerless to change.
Exactly.
And that's why I can't really post there like I used to.
Yeah.
Because the energy when you do that is not constructive.
Straight up.
And I think you have to do it. So when I look at my thing, it was like, when I looked at my problem, like, yeah, I got a drinking problem now. Can I fix this? Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, well, why was I drinking so much? Well, I was drinking because I had this anxiety about performing. And this is what set everything off. And now, so how do you fit? Is it fixable? Yeah. How? Practice, fool.
Yeah. Straight up.
Practice religiously. Practice, like, wake up thinking about how to be better on stage. Go into your studio, have more rehearsals than usual, and put that plan into action. Practice more than you need to. Practice so much that performing is like sleepwalking to you. It's something that you can do with your eyes closed. You can rhyme your lyrics and be thinking about where you're eating after the show. You can rhyme and be sending signals to your DJ. You could change the batteries in your foot pedal in the middle of a song without stressing out about the foot pedal going dead. These are the things you can do once you decide that it's within your power to fix it.
Right.
And once you decide it's not in your power to fix it, you should be going down the other side of the mountain just the same.
Then you got to move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
Why am I wasting my precious time on something I can't fix?
Right.
And people do it every day.
All the time. I think that's a lot of people's problem. A lot of reason why people have stress is because they're stressing about stuff that they can't change.
Right. So that's number 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So now the number 4 step in coping with stress is to redefine your coping mechanisms.
Yes.
So we talked about in step 2 that once you define your coping mechanisms, what you're typically going to find out, especially if you're stressed out a lot, is that you have faulty coping mechanisms. You know, like someone gives you some constructive criticism, you yell at them and get stressed out about your whole performance. Right. I suck. I'm not worth shit. I'm not worthy. I'm going to quit. Right. You're stressing about something because you have an unhealthy coping mechanism. Now, what we need to do in step 4 is now that we know whether our problem is fixable or not. Now we have to change our inner dialogue and we have to assume other behaviors that are more productive. Right. So for me, it was like, okay, yeah, I'm stressed out because my performance is sucking. And I don't want to suck. So at least I'm going to suck drunk. I'm going to be drunk as fuck, terrible on stage, to be terrible on stage sober because that reality will fuck with me too much.
Right.
So now I say, okay, what's a healthy way to deal with this, Brent? Okay, well, shit. Why don't you practice for 2 hours a day, every day for a month leading up to tour? You practice for a month or 2 before you even get with your DJ. That gives you 60 days of rehearsal by yourself with your DJ and see what happens. And since I started doing that and I realized that was a more healthy way to cope with it than to just drink and get up there and wing it. Yeah. Because sometimes when we would wing it, we would have a classic show.
Yeah. And other times, disaster.
Right. And it was probably 50-50.
Yeah. Every now and then, it would just be like we'd do like three to 5 shows. Yeah. Really super dope. And then we'd have that one that was just like, dog.
And that's the thing. It's not repeatable.
Right.
It's completely the chance when we would have a good show because we were drinking so much. You had to have that perfect balance of just loose enough to be free on stage, but not too loose to fuck everything up.
Yeah, but I was smoking too. So I was high and drunk. And if my balance was right, I would kill it.
Yeah.
If one or the other was too much.
Illogic forgot his lyrics again, y'all.
Again.
Freestyle Illogic.
Yeah. Yeah, because
You wouldn't even freestyle.
I wouldn't even freestyle. It would fuck me up that much. So bad.
Nah, that shit is hilarious. So many memories of that shit though, man. But also, so let's talk about some healthy ways to actually cope with stress. Right? So one is talking.
Yeah.
Like sometimes talking to someone who's outside of the situation,
Right.
Whether it's a friend, parent, child, significant other, about something you're stressing over, it helps simply because it's the way you kind of get an outside perspective, and it's not in your head. You get out of your head, and other people can remind you that, you know what, it's going to be okay.
Right.
Like there's no need to, like the conversation you're talking about with your sons, like, hey, you can't fix this, son.
Right.
Why are you stressing out?
Yeah.
You can't fix this, honey. Why are you stressing out? Talking to other people reminds us of that. When we don't talk to other people, it's so easy to be in our heads, right? Talking is one way. Writing. We're writers.
Yeah. Oh, that's my number one. It has been since middle school, high school. Always writing that's how I get a lot of my stress out.
Yeah. Like I never was a journaler, but I was definitely a guy who, if something hung over my head too long, there'd be a song about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'll write some bars, like somebody's going to catch these bars. And going through that process, I saw how therapeutic it was.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic.
Because now all of a sudden you have this situation that's negative, that's in your head, and now you've written a song, and the song is dope, which makes you happy, which makes you, and then listening to yourself talk about it, the longer that goes by, every day that goes by, it's that song, you're a little further away from the apex of that drama.
Exactly.
And now it's like, oh, I got more perspective. Man, I got a song that's sick out of that.
Yeah.
Now I'm happy. Fuck the stress.
Yeah.
I've turned the corner on it. But only because you have a healthy coping mechanism, right? Another one, negotiation. I say negotiation because in our minds, when we stress out about things, a lot of times because we think it's either or.
Right. Yeah, it's black or white.
Black or white, zero sum game. Either they win or I lose. There's nothing in between. Either I get this thing or I don't. There's nothing in between. Either I achieve this goal right now or I'm a failure.
Right.
Most of the times life isn't like that. It's very gray. You can actually define success. It's not this linear fucking thing. It's like, yo, you didn't get this today, but that doesn't make you a failure.
Right.
You don't have this situation settled right now, but that doesn't mean it's not going to fix itself or be fixed later. Sometimes you just have to be willing to stick through it long enough to get through to the thing and admit that, okay, it's okay for me to take a smaller victory right now.
Right.
Like I can negotiate with myself for a smaller victory, and that will make me feel less stressed out about this entire situation.
Yeah. It's well, going back to talking, one of the things about my relationship with my wife, we got married super young, and we used to have a lot of issues between us, whether it was bills, whether it was whatever, but we didn't talk. Yeah. We didn't talk to each other. I would retreat into my journal. I would retreat into writing, and she would either, cook, she would do whatever she did. And one of the reasons, probably the only reason that we're still married to this day is because we recognized that our problem was our communication. Yeah. And we started to communicate. We started to talk regularly. When we had issues, we confronted each other with the issues. We talked it through and got to the other side of it. And now we're much better for it.
That's dope.
Just finding the right ways to deal with situations and deal with stress is very key to sanity.
Oh, totally. We're gonna add on to that because like now another healthy one to add on: unplugging, disconnecting.
Yes.
The need to react right then and there is one of the most destructive things when you're dealing with stress.
Walk away.
Walk away. It's okay to not. Like sometimes the best response is no response. The people will be mad that you don't respond in the moment. But sometimes you cannot respond in a moment because you know you're going to do nothing but escalate that situation. Yeah. Like based on how you feel and what's in your mind, if you respond right then and there to that problem that's causing you stress, you're going to make everything worse.
It's about to go.
Right. Like I'm a completely different person when I'm mad than when I'm not.
Right.
When I'm mad about something in that moment, I'll say the rawest fucked up shit.
Man.
And I'll be regretting it later. Like, why did I say that? I didn't mean that.
My bad.
Yeah.
You know how it get.
I take that back. You know I didn't mean that. Come on, man. And so my solution is like, take a step back. and not see that as weakness, and not let anybody make you think that you need to engage right then and there. Because all you're doing by engaging is you're communicating at your worst.
Yeah.
You're not being rational, and that is only going to make things worse. So disconnect.
Yes.
That's a healthy way to deal with problems. It's better than staying engaged and saying destructive shit. Right? Another way to address it right then and there.
Yeah.
Like if something's coming up, if you can address it with civility.
Right.
Like if something's coming up, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. X, Y, and Z, this is kind of causing me some problems.
Yeah, let's talk
I just want to
about
let
it.
you know, like, this is why I feel this way. I'm starting to get tight from you doing X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
And if it keeps going, then I'm going to be really tight. So I just want to tell you that.
Before it goes down.
Yeah. You taking me there. Why you taking me there? You know, but we have to do that. You have to, some of us, it's a hard skill to build. That might be the toughest one.
Yeah.
To be able to talk to someone about something that is stressing you out right then and there.
Without blowing up.
Yes. That's tough, man. That's tough, man. Addressing it head on.
Yeah.
You have to be at a point to where you can separate the problems and they're not personal to you anymore.
Right.
And it's just like, you know what? I don't know if you have to look at it as a test, if you look at it as a game to test who you are, your skills, your demeanor, your temperament, but it's going to take something inside of you to be able to do that. Address it head on without escalating it.
Yeah.
You know, and then the last healthy coping mechanism that I'm going to add is physical activity.
Yes. Exercise.
Take a walk,
Yeah.
ride a bike, hit the treadmill, lift some weights, play some hoops. Man, shooting basketball has always been one of the things that I've done to clear my mind and think. I go shoot free throws for an hour, you know, and it's just like, okay, can I make 7 out of 10? Can I make 5? It gives me something else to focus my energy on.
Right.
And it makes me forget about my problems for the moment. Then when I revisit my problems, I've usually worked through some options. Like we talked about negotiating. I've worked through like, what can I do? How bad is it? I've assessed it better simply because I went and just jogged around, got my body moving, which got my mind moving, and took away the stress. So don't be afraid to like work out when you're stressed out. Yeah. You know? And I'm going to add one more to that. Practice your craft.
Yes.
Practice your craft.
Like now I go, like when I'm stressing, I will be downstairs making beats, listening to samples. It takes my mind off of whatever I'm thinking about at that time. And it definitely, because I don't even write as much. I make beats more than I write now.
Yeah.
And I don't write as much, but I still am practicing my craft and doing something that takes my mind off of whatever I'm stressed out about or upset about.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Okay, so we'll take a break and be right back. I get the sense of urgency with my music now based on the understanding that tomorrow isn't promised. Based on not just knowing that, but seeing it firsthand. Seeing people who I thought had forever, people I thought I would grow old with, not even be here anymore. To me, if you don't understand that, then I don't know what can motivate you. Because one of the harshest realities in life is knowing that everything around you is temporary. Then the question becomes, what are you going to do with it?
He is the pinnacle of poetry to me. The man can say nothing wrong.
Blueprint has his shit all together. You know, all his T's are crossed, you know, his I's are dotted.
You know, you really get to see like what your city is doing from like an outside view, like, you know, other people talking. And, you know, when I told them like, oh yeah, me and Print, you know, did shows together and stuff, they're like, what? Print's so dope. And, you know, that made me feel real good because, you know, that's coming from Columbus.
When he's going all around the world, like he represents for Columbus, Ohio. And that is a big deal.
You feel fear, you know, you start to panic, you start to wonder, oh, is this, you know, was the tour over? What are we gonna do?
I'm a determined person, but I really didn't know how the fuck people come back from that. Because I'd never heard of anybody having anything like that happen to them and finishing a tour. Live for the day. You only get one life. No time to play. Don't ever waste your time. Live for the day. The most infamous.
Back in the place.
We always in here doing the dopest shit.
Even when we outside, we in the building.
In the house, even when we outside. Take that.
Yup.
Okay, we've been talking about dealing with stress, coping with stress. We laying down the 6-step system. We on step number 5. And this is when we started. We've turned the curve now. We turned the corner. Now we're getting back into solution mode. And so step number 5, when coping with stress, is to apply a temporary solution.
Right.
Every problem, I think, has a long-term and a short-term solution. And just like we talked about how it's easy to think that you can't negotiate and to look at things as black and white, it's very easy to look at solutions as though the decision you make right now has to be the long-term solution.
Right.
When you're in a stressful situation, you have to mitigate the damage right then and there. A short-term solution. You have to think about that. Whether that's, okay, my lights are about to get cut off tomorrow. What can I do? Let me call them, ask them, can I make a small payment of $40 payment arrangement?
Yeah.
Right. You make the payment arrangement. They allow it. They accept it. Boom. Now you got 30 more days.
Yeah.
Just like that. You negotiated a temporary solution, and that temporary solution reduces the stress.
Yes, very much so. It calms you down. Yeah.
30 more days. I thought they was coming out tomorrow to turn off my lights.
Yeah.
Okay, 30 more days. What can I come up with in 30 days? Now your whole mindset has changed, right? Because you came up with a temporary solution. For me, when I stopped drinking, it was more, I just taking a week off. It started out like that.
Yeah.
I'm taking a week off. I'm tired of this. That week turned into 2 weeks. 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks. At 3 weeks, I was like, holy shit, this feels great.
Right.
I could get used to this. But it all started because I said I'm going to take a day off drinking. And that day turned into a week. That week turned into 2 weeks. That was a short-term solution to a long-term problem I had, which was alcoholism. It's like, just take a day off.
Yeah, because it's just like, can this problem be fixed or not fixed? It can be fixed, but I can't fix it today.
Right.
I can't fix it tomorrow. It's going to take me some time to fix it. So let me just take some time off now. This is how I can fix it right now. This is what I can do. It's not, I can't just say I'm going to quit drinking. You know what I'm saying?
I couldn't say that.
You know what I mean? Like,
I could.
You can't just say that because that's a difficult thing to do. That's a big mountain. So if you just say like, all right, I'm going to stop. I ain't going to drink tonight.
Right. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to drink tonight. Okay. Let me see if I can carry this on for 2 or 3 more days. All right. Now I got 2 weeks. Now I got a month. You know what I mean? And you do that with your problems. It'll be a lot easier to tackle them instead of thinking like, oh, I can't do it now. Life is over.
Right. Right. And that's probably why some people continue to let stressful situations hang over their heads.
Yeah.
Because, you want that thing to be gone forever.
Right.
You just want it out of your life. But the truth of the matter is, like, you may not be able to get it out of your life because you may not have the tools nor the circumstances to fix it immediately right then. I mean, we talked about like the reason I couldn't say I quit the first day I stopped drinking forever was because I didn't have the coping mechanisms.
Right.
I didn't have the skills it would have taken to just stop right then and there and know how to navigate socially and everything else. I didn't know. I hadn't built those skills yet. So I was like, you know what? Just today, man. Let me just stop right now. I'm not gonna do it tonight. I'm not going out tonight, y'all. I'm gonna stay in and I'm gonna practice my craft. Yeah. Then eventually practicing my craft became a coping mechanism.
Right.
Whenever I felt anxiety, oh man, let me make a beat.
Yeah.
Man, I feel fucking low. Let me make a fucking beat. Man, I don't feel like drinking. I'm real happy. Make a fucking beat. Write a rhyme. Make a song. Eventually, that becomes like this thing. Let me write coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
But you have to develop them so that you can apply a temporary solution. Then ultimately you come to step number 6.
Long-term
solutions. So step number 6 of this process is apply a long-term solution. I'm at year 8 of not drinking and it's fucking flown by, man.
Yeah.
I stopped in 2010, man. No, this will be 9.
9 years.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bruh. It's crazy. But you know what? It all started from like one day.
Yeah.
1 week.
Yeah. One step.
Yeah. And every year I would write my 1 year sober post, 2 year sober blog, 3 years sober. That was a coping mechanism in and of itself, because it taught me how to deal long term and how to look at my shit with some perspective, man. Sometimes you don't have the answers, but the temporary solution should be teaching you what it takes to build a long term solution.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Hey.
Yeah.
Bars? Okay, shit. Well, that's it.
Yeah, I don't need you to add none of that.
You can throw those little spices on there if you want to. Those, you know what I'm saying? Some herbs and spices, but it's cool. Yeah. No, man. So that's it, man. I hope that this has been helpful to our listeners out there, man. We all deal with stress. None of us are perfect. You know, we work through these problems. We get stressed out about things. I've been stressed out about things that were beyond my control. You know, and within other people's control who I couldn't control.
Yeah. Or getting stressed out about things that are in other people's control about their lives and not your own.
Right.
Like getting stressed out about shit that don't, even in the grand scheme of things, ain't gonna do nothing for you, ain't gonna do nothing to you. Man, it's you just adding stress to your life for no reason.
One of the worst feelings is knowing that you're stressing more about a situation than the person who's suffering from that situation.
Having teenagers do that.
Oh,
dog.
You'll be sitting there losing your fucking hair and they partying.
Yeah.
They chilling. They like, why you stressed out? You're like, I'm stressed out for you.
Right.
Aren't you worried?
Why aren't you stressed out?
You should be worried. They're like, no, it's cool. Then you be like, you know what, man? I'm gonna let this go,
right,
man.
If you don't care, I don't care.
Right, I'm gonna fuck it, man. Do your thing, dog. I'm gonna be over here chilling.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully this episode has helped some people, man. You know, this is something that applies to everybody. And let us know on SoundCloud if you're listening. Hit us with the comments in the comment section about this, and let us know if you applied this, man. And we appreciate y'all listenership. And catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Super Duty Tough Work. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow the podcast on SoundCloud. Peace.
Shoot, I got styles already that's more complex that nobody know about. I mean, super duty tough work.